For as long as I can remember, Intel wasn't an adversary of NVIDIA, but all of that is about to change. This past week, Computex 2025 was hosted in Taiwan, and this event is important because all of the biggest companies in the world who create anything that has to do with servers or compute come together and show what they think the next 2 years will look like. This can be for servers, or GPUs, or networking, or things as simple as SSDs. And this year, Intel came with a serious challenge to NVIDIA with their new series of Arc Pro GPUs that aim to capture a large segment of the prosumer and pro markets for AI compute. Previously, NVIDIA has been able to demand massive price premiums for their GPUs, as they basically created the entire industry as we see it today with their engineering and product decisions over the past 10 to 15 years. But I think a lot of that is about to change. So I want to get into why these new Arc Pro GPUs are so interesting, why their price point could be a sea change for anyone who's doing local AI, and what this all means for AI in general going forward. Welcome to AI Flux, let's get into it. So Intel released a number of GPUs, but the two primary focus points are the Arc Pro B550 with 16 gigs of memory and the Arc Pro B60 with 24 gigs of memory, all encompassed in what they're calling Project Battlemage with some really interesting drivers layered on top as well. You've probably seen this if you've been following any of the tech hardware channels on YouTube. There have been some really interesting teardowns of this GPU that you can find on YouTube as well. I'll link to Gamers Nexus in the description. And I do want to say that there are very big caveats with these GPUs. Intel just hasn't been doing this long enough to really compete with AMD, especially NVIDIA. But what they're showing they're willing to do with their engineering choices shows something that might give them an edge that could just get them to a point where they're competing with AMD and potentially at a price point, definitely competing with NVIDIA. So what you see here is a picture of a number of different form factors that represents 3 different GPU specs. So there's the B50, the B60, and then a much smaller trimmed down version of the B50 that you see here, which is in sort of an A4000 form factor. You have versions with axial blowers. You have versions with 3 fans that look like gaming cards. You have some GPUs like this one on the right here that actually have 2 GPUs on them. And although you can't necessarily put them all together yet, Intel is working really hard on some drivers that might make that possible. And the biggest thing for these GPUs is the Arc Pro B50 with 16 gigs of VRAM is in theory going to MSRP at $300, and the larger, more capable B60 with 24 gigs of RAM. We don't really know the exact number yet, but they're claiming this will be under $1,000. So that's the good news. The bad news is that a lot of tooling to use Arc GPUs just isn't quite there yet. Intel has an internal fork of PyTorch that allows you to use projects that rely heavily on Torch to be easily ported to these GPUs. But for a majority of local AI infrastructure, and even infrastructure that larger companies use when building or training models, a lot of it is still always going to work on NVIDIA first, and down the road might work on these GPUs. We've already seen clusters built with Arc GPUs. Their compute capability isn't necessarily too disappointing. It's still much more impressive than what Huawei has been able to build, since they now have to compete with NVIDIA since the US government has banned NVIDIA GPUs from even being exported to China. And I've talked with some board partners and some people who have actually used these for AI, and I think I have some numbers that might actually speak more broadly to how these will actually compare to NVIDIA GPUs like the 3090 or the 4090, and it's pretty interesting. So at a high level, the bad news up front is that the Arc Pro B60 roughly performs on par with a 3090 or 3090 Ti. So the price point being lower doesn't necessarily mean much here, because I can go on eBay and buy an RTX 3090 for right around $1,000, probably less, and be sure that I have basically perfect compatibility with anything I want to do. I won't have to go digging, I won't really have to modify too much of the tooling myself, and I'm quite technical, so most people who want to do this stuff locally in terms of running Llama or Llama, they probably wouldn't be able to do that. The other thing is the 3090 still supports NVLink, and if I get 2 3090s, which are still pretty easy to come by, I can have 48 gigs of VRAM on a local system and know that the models that I'm building can actually be trained in the cloud with massive GPUs if I wanted to, and be distributed really easily. But what Intel gets right is not restricting board partners. So if you want 2 GPUs on a single card, you can opt for one of these crazy dual GPU cards. If you want something you want to throw on a server that has no fans, you also have an option here. If you're not a fan of the power-constrained 12-pin connector that has been melting on all the 5090s, you can opt for a GPU that has 3 8-pin connectors, which this 3-fan version actually has, as crazy as that is to see in 2025. So although the hardware isn't quite there yet, the flexibility and openness to let board partners do things that otherwise they would claim to be impossible is really cool, and the tooling is getting there. I honestly think there will be a day in probably the next year or so, especially if George Hotz picks up on this, where these GPUs might actually have better local AI and just general AI tooling support than AMD even does. What's crazy is AMD actually has GPUs that have more raw compute than their NVIDIA counterparts at almost half of their MSRP, and yet AMD has seemingly no interest in developing software or even enabling this capability in an official capacity, which is crazy. And frankly, I've been doing this long enough, it's just classic AMD, but it's really interesting to see. So let's jump into what Intel wants us to know about these GPUs. So Intel is basically marketing this all as turning AI ambition into real impact. So of course they have a lot of healthcare bits here. They have their Pro B series, which is pretty much everything from their discrete GPUs down to smaller GPUs meant to be used on the edge, all the way out to automotive applications. They also have their Gaudi 3 inference cards, which have been around for a while. They were trying to sell these when Stable Diffusion was big. These are pretty much just Intel's take at a tensor-specific inference accelerator. They're not that great, and I'm not going to focus on them in this video very much. So if you see here, they break these into consumer and workstation. So these are really mostly meant for workstations, but what's cool is in theory you can actually run their server AI compute drivers right alongside gaming drivers, and all of these still actually have video output, which is pretty interesting. And the way Intel breaks down these GPUs are pretty interesting. So they're very efficient, and the way that they roughly equate performance is with these Xeon cores. So the B50 sort of smaller version only has 16 of these. There's a 70-watt TDP, which is pretty cool because it means you can run it without a discrete power supply. And they have a number of other options here. So this is the flagship. So the B60 is what everyone is really excited about. It has 20 Xeon cores with 24 gigs of memory and almost twice the memory bandwidth, which is pretty cool. Intel has their own rough benchmark for TOPS, which is interesting, but we'll see how that goes. They mention here that there is Linux support for multi-GPU and a lot of form factors, and this is also using PCIe Gen 5, which is pretty cool. Now, their more budget offering, again, is going to be the B50 in multiple forms, and what they're really proud about, again, is just how many board partners are already making so many wildly different looking versions of this GPU. These are all B60s. They all look kind of different. The Lanner version looks like a lot of the current Arc GPUs, which is pretty cool. They also mention some rough capabilities here. So their big thing is saying that the Arc B60 is inference ready, which is pretty cool. And it'll be interesting to see what benchmarks we actually see once they start shipping these. And for those of you who are curious, we don't actually know when they're going to start shipping these. We know that they're currently being produced, at least the silicon, and that they're board partners in China that have these already, which is a big step forward anyway, because once you have this silicon in hand, trusting them in China is also pretty interesting. There's also been some really interesting published over at Igor's lab. I'll link this below. I definitely recommend reading through some of his breakdowns. What's curious here is how different the GPU architecture is from Intel relative to anything we've seen from NVIDIA. What Intel calls Xe cores are actually just the GPU cores themselves, and the ReLU accelerators are actually called XMX engines. So you'll see a broader kind of gap in performance between the B50 and the B60 when it comes to these XMX engines, and also you have a bit more RAM here. The other interesting thing is that there's twice as much bandwidth on the B60 relative to the B50. And what's curious is the gain in FP32 performance actually isn't that much. You're only getting 2 more teraflops of estimated power out, which is kind of interesting. What's also cool is this card isn't using a lot of power. So of course, this card is roughly equivalent to an RTX 3090 in theory. The thing is the 3090, unless you're undervolting, is still going to draw between 300 and 350 watts. So it's a lot of power, it's a lot of heat, and what's cool with these is you can probably shove more of these into a server more easily, and this is something that just comes with more modern lithography compared to what we had nearly 6 years ago. Intel also has this interesting software they want to wrap all these in that they call Battlemage, which in theory, this is not confirmed, will allow you to stack the VRAM between these GPUs, assuming you're using a PCIe 5 compatible system, where in theory you can just push all of that over the PCIe interface and not actually worry about having to need something like NVLink or direct or some kind of other direct communication between the GPUs themselves. Now, what's really disappointing, and again, I'm going to say you shouldn't buy the 5060 Ti for AI, but if we're being really frank with some of the newest numbers we've gotten, the B60 is performing a little bit better in terms of token throughput for LLMs than the GeForce RTX 5060 Ti with 16 gigs of memory, which is really kind of disappointing. This is something that hopefully will get better with time. Yeah, it's great it has ECC memory. Yeah, it's great that this is something that at least is some competition, but it's hard to say this is even one generation of GPUs behind NVIDIA. And I would even argue that Huawei in China is probably farther ahead in terms of creating really powerful AI GPUs than Intel. Intel's an American company. I really would like to root for them, but they have a long way to go when it comes to competing with NVIDIA. So I'm curious what you guys think. Given the price point, are you going to buy a bunch of these and see what you can do? Are you going to wait to see if it's even actually true that you can buy them at MSRP, even though Intel promised that their gaming versions of these GPUs will be? Would you rather just buy NVIDIA GPUs because it's easier to run? Do you like NVIDIA because you just like Jensen and think NVIDIA is a cool company? I'll still be buying NVIDIA GPUs this entire time, but let me know in the comments what you think. Check out the link below for Whisper Flow. It's one of the really cool Whisper kind of a voice-to-text transcription services that you can use to vibe code with your voice. And yeah, I hope you learned something in this video, so I'll see you in the next one.